The United States has long enjoyed the luxury of distance. Oceans on either side have served as buffers, protecting it from the turmoil of the world. This geographical advantage allowed the US to develop in relative peace, eventually rising to become a global superpower. However, the 21st century has brought new challenges. The old rules no longer apply. The rise of the internet, global trade, and instant communication has effectively shrunk the world. The concept of a buffer zone is obsolete. The US, once seemingly untouchable, now finds itself on a new front line, facing threats that originate far beyond its physical borders. The United States faces a world increasingly interconnected yet fractured. The global landscape is no longer defined solely by traditional military power. Economic interdependence, cyber warfare, and ideological clashes have created a complex web of interactions. These new battlefields transcend physical boundaries. They strike at the heart of American society and infrastructure, exploiting the very openness that once defined its strength. The US is grappling with the reality that its traditional strengths are less effective in this new environment, demanding a reassessment of its role and strategies on the world stage. For decades, the US has been the dominant force in shaping the global order. It has acted as the world's policeman, intervening in conflicts and promoting democracy, but this role is being challenged. The rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, and the increasing assertiveness of regional powers have created a multipolar world. This multipolarity is not inherently negative. However, it presents a fundamental shift in the global power dynamic. The US can no longer dictate terms on its own. It must learn to navigate a more complex geopolitical landscape. This requires a nuanced understanding of the interests and motivations of other actors on the world stage. One of the most significant changes in the global landscape is the rise of cyberspace as a domain of conflict. Cyber attacks originating from anywhere in the world can cripple critical infrastructure, disrupt financial markets, and sow discord among the populace. These attacks are not merely an annoyance. They represent a direct threat to national security. They have the potential to cause widespread chaos and undermine the very fabric of American society. In 2023 alone, the US experienced a threefold increase in state-sponsored cyber attacks, primarily targeting financial institutions and energy grids. The US economy is also vulnerable due to its deep integration with the global market. While this interdependence has brought benefits, it also creates dependencies that adversaries can exploit. The reliance on foreign supply chains for critical goods, for example, has become a strategic vulnerability. Additionally, the weaponization of finance through sanctions and the manipulation of global markets poses a direct threat to the US economy. The declining value of the US dollar adds another layer of complexity. The US dollar's dominance as the world's reserve currency is facing challenges. While it still accounts for 58% of global foreign exchange reserves, this figure has been steadily declining. In 2014, foreign ownership of the US Treasury market was around 50%. Today, it hovers around one-third. This decline is partly driven by deliberate efforts by countries like China and Russia to reduce their reliance on the dollar. They are increasingly using alternative currencies for international transactions. This trend weakens the dollar's dominance, potentially undermining its stability and impacting the US economy. The American public is increasingly aware of the challenges posed by this new world order. Public support for an active US role in global affairs has fallen to 56%, one of its lowest points since the Vietnam War. This decline is particularly pronounced among younger Americans, with only 33% of those under 35 supporting an active global role. This generational divide highlights a fundamental shift in attitudes. Younger generations, who have grown up in a world shaped by globalization and its discontents, are less convinced of the benefits of US global leadership. This shift in public opinion is also fueled by a growing sense that the US's international engagements have often yielded more costs than benefits. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and the recent unrest in Gaza have taken a toll on the American psyche and economy. These events have led many to question the US's role in the world. The partisan divide in the US further complicates matters. Democrats and Republicans hold increasingly divergent views on the US's role in the world. Democrats are more likely to consider the interests of allies and be open to multilateral solutions. In contrast, Republicans prioritize U.S. national interests and favor a more unilateral approach. This partisan divide makes it difficult to forge a cohesive foreign policy strategy. It also undermines the U.S.'s ability to present a united front on the global stage. The U.S. stands at a crossroads. The old playbook no longer applies. The challenges of the 21st century demand a new approach, one that recognizes the interconnected nature of the modern world and the need for strategic adaptation. The U.S. must find a way to leverage its strengths while mitigating its vulnerabilities in this new environment. This will require a nuanced understanding of the complex interplay of cyber threats, economic interdependence, and ideological conflicts. One thing is clear: the U.S. cannot simply retreat from the world. Isolationism is not a viable option in an interconnected global system. Instead, the U.S. must find a sustainable path forward. This path will require a recalibration of its foreign policy priorities. The U.S. must focus on building resilient alliances, strengthening its domestic economy, and investing in the technologies of the future. The U.S. must also address the growing disconnect between its foreign policy establishment and the American people. The public is increasingly wary of costly foreign interventions and skeptical of the benefits of global leadership. Any sustainable foreign policy will need to address these concerns and build a broader consensus for U.S. engagement in the world. The challenges facing the U.S. are significant, but they are not insurmountable. By embracing strategic adaptation, fostering domestic unity, and engaging with the world in a thoughtful and pragmatic manner, the U.S. can navigate these turbulent waters and ensure its security and prosperity in the 21st century.